Hey, welcome to what I want to call Titty Talk. I'm the host, Ashley Grant, and the co-host here, Matthew Grant, are going to take you through the journey of my breast implants and what is going to be now my breast explant. So, I started talking about this maybe like a month ago. And in that last month, I've already booked the appointment, it's happening, and now that it's actually in momentum, I thought it would be a good time to kind of touch on it. I have to preface this conversation with the fact that I'm not trying to convince people that have breast implants to get them out. And I am not judging people that have breast implants. I would actually get new ones if I didn't feel like this was affecting me in a negative way. And I also think that not all breast implants are going to make people sick. I just think, like Kaylee made an excellent point, like not everyone that smokes is going to get lung cancer. Mm-hmm. So I want to use this as my portal to educate, to maybe, like we always use Really Fit as, to get people to think outside of the box and just to question some things and maybe enlighten you or just give you a cool story to listen to. Yeah, so we have some questions we're going to ask each other, but I kind of wanted to start with my breast implant. So I've wanted breast implants for as long as I can remember. Even as like a young girl, I always wanted to have big boobs. Even before I was old enough to develop boobs and knew what my boobs would look like, I wanted big ones. And I think basically as soon as I got a job that allowed me to afford them, I went and I got them at 22 years old. So now I've had them for 13 years. And yeah, I love them. I honestly love my boobs, and I mean, they're a little bit small now since breastfeeding Rowan, but I love them. I wouldn't say I'm super excited to get rid of them, but it morally and ethically and intuitively feels right to me. So I'm doing it in hopes that it's going to help some of my health concerns and things that I've learned about along the way. So it wasn't that long ago that I was having a discussion with Matt saying,
You're talking about redoing them and maybe even getting them bigger and... Yeah.
I'm pro implants. I'm not against it. So I just don't want anyone to think that like I'm all of a sudden becoming righteous and I'm against them, because that's not the story. I just want to share my story with you because I think if I had known this many years ago, I may have avoided some things that could potentially be affecting me because of them.
Right.
So, yeah, excuse me, it wasn't that long ago I was saying I wanted to redo them again. And then shortly thereafter, it was actually Kaylee who tagged me in a post of a girl that we follow for business coaching, who was getting them out in the States. And she had talked about something called breast implant illness. And so I started doing my research and started kind of like, there was too many coincidences for me, and she put me in this Facebook group of over 40,000 women that also believe they have breast implant illness, some of them have explanted and have relieved some of their symptoms quite rapidly. So then I came to Matt and I said, look, I think I have this thing, and I was kind of nervous. I think I have this thing called breast implant illness. And I know I was just talking about getting my breast implants in again and like redoing them, but I think I want to get them out. And then that journey kind of took Matt and I through talking about what that would look like, how that would affect us as a couple, how it would affect me emotionally. And then we just started making appointments and you kind of did your own research and stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of the journey. I will get into more of... well, actually, I could do that right now. So basically, the first couple things that were really alarming to me when I started learning more about it was that it has like a strong correlation to autoimmune disease. So, and it was shortly, like within, I can't remember if it was a year or two after getting breast implants that I developed hypothyroidism. And it's also strongly correlated with food intolerances. And mine have definitely been, I always had like a lactose sensitivity, and I'm pretty sure I've had gluten ones, but mine have been really heightened since having...
It's gotten worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so those were the two ones that I'm like, wow, that happened after. And I remember in 2010, when I worked for a company called Booty Camp Fitness, having this intuition, seeing other girls get breast implants. And I had also put on weight after I got my breast implants. And there was some other facets that had to do with that, but but it happened fairly quickly. And I remember having this like little intuition of like, I saw other girls that were in fitness gaining weight. And I was like, I wonder if our breast implants have anything to do with that. And I remember having this like little inkling, but then I pushed it away and I just didn't research it and I just didn't believe it. When I was getting breast implants, what I researched was what happens if they leak. So obviously there was a lot of research that came out in like the late 80s, early 90s about silicone. And I ended up getting saline breast implants, smooth saline submuscular breast implants. So that is what I got. And from what the research I had done, that's very safe, even if it leaks in your body. So that's kind of where my research ended. And when I got that little inkling in 2010, which is like 8 years ago now, I kind of pushed it away and I just forgot about it. And then within the last several months, some other health concerns have kind of come up again that I wasn't still relating to my breast implants. And my biggest health concerns as of late have been weight loss, have been rashes on my face, acne I can't explain, I can't control, muscle loss, a feeling of weakness, like I can't gain muscle, I'm not as strong at my workouts. I know that sounds kind of funny because I just hurt my back recently, but this was even before.
This has been going on for over a year.
Yeah, and I kept on attributing it to my mom being sick. And I kept on saying, you know, like, I'm really sad and I'm really stressed. And, like, of course these things are happening. And, like, because they all started happening not long after we had Rowan. And, I'm a new mom and I'm tired. And, like, I always had excuses for what was going on. And without sounding insensitive to my mom's death, I actually feel emotionally more grounded now that she's passed. I think my year of watching her suffer and then like those like several weeks after were a lot harder on me than I just feel better now. I was under an incredible amount of stress and sadness and just I don't know how else to explain it. So some of those things made sense, but I haven't been like that lately. Like do I have bad days? Yes, but on like a general basis, like I feel like I've been dealing with my mom's death pretty well, and I've felt peace since she has passed because of how much pain she was in and how much she was suffering. So then these health issues started coming to the forefront again, and it's kind of like, oh shit, like why is this happening? Why am I not gaining weight? Why am I still breaking out in rashes? And why am I still feeling weak? And all these things. And Kaylee knew about this because Kaylee and I worked together very closely, ended up tagging me in this post. And then that's kind of where all of this happened. So that kind of gives you a story of like where, like basically why I got implants, the kind of implants I got, the, basically the symptoms that started, and then how I was like pushing them away. And then now why I think that they could be very strongly related to my health. So then I guess where we go from here, I could ask you some questions or you have some input before we get there.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is when you told me about it, I started doing my own research. Obviously, you've been doing a lot of research about it since you found out, and then you started connecting with these women who have very similar symptoms to you and are at various stages of either doing something about it or not, or whatever the case may be. But what I found most interesting is that when we started doing the research and then reading about it and understanding the symptoms and the different complications, and then going back in your history of you and your life, it all started to just like go, okay, yep, that happened, and you can almost tie it all back. So I know you were going to ask me, how I felt when you initially told me, and we've been talking about these feelings that you've been having about your weight and things like that for a while, and it was almost inexplicable. And I kept saying maybe you should go and see the doctor that I'm seeing, and maybe he can give you some more information because he's going to do tests, he's going to understand what's going on in your blood, and it's going to give you a better perspective on what's going on in your body, and then we can make an informed decision. And then we found out about this breast implant illness and started reading about it, and then I went, whoa, okay, this just seems like it's too, this is too coincidental to not be like it's got to be related. It has to be related. So, you know, now we're starting to find out more information about this. We've now gone and seen the doctor and we're doing tests and to verify that this could be it. But yeah, for me, it was just mind blowing how aligned everything that these women are experiencing is exactly what is happening to you. It's really, you can't deny it.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
People say, well, there's not enough science behind it, or maybe there's not enough proof, or it's still early, or whatever the case may be. But you know, when you have, maybe if it's just an isolated group of people, but when it's 40,000 women and counting who are experiencing this, and I think some of the stats where there's how many million women with breast implants or something?
There's a couple surgeons in the States that are very vocal about breast implant illness.
Yes,
and they said, and there's one doctor that came out, somebody was slamming breast implant illness and how it's a bunch of bullshit. And this doctor that's very vocal about it and is advocate for it came out and said, you know, there's like 1 million people in the States that get breast augmentation a year. Let's just use that as an example. And if only 5% of them get breast implant illness, which seems to be that they can tell right now, anecdotally, is the percentage that could get it, that's 500,000 women. Or sorry, that's 50,000 women.
Yeah, which is still a lot.
Yeah. But it's even higher than that. But
it is higher than that, and that's that number, 5%, is too large to ignore. They can't ignore that number.
That only includes the people that are coming out and saying it.
Well, that's just it. There's a lot of people that don't say it. There's a lot of people that don't know that they have this issue, or it's the symptoms are not there yet. I mean, you've had them in for 13 years. You might not have been feeling a lot of these symptoms.
I felt nothing. Except for
except for thyroid and things like that, and hormones. But you know, some people may not have that, and then for 13 years they don't feel anything, and then suddenly these complications start to occur. And not only that, but you also went through carrying a baby, and then, you know, that does a whole bunch of different things to your hormones and endocrines and everything in your body. So, you know, that only complicates matters further.
Yes.
You know, so this has amplified it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess my whole point with all that was that when we did the research, it was really too much to ignore.
Yeah.
And to me, it just seemed like, yes, this probably is what's bothering you, and we need to explore it further. So that's when we
went and saw
Dr. Arsenault. And I have to say, like, in my own personal experience, going to see Dr. Arsenault, but also going to see a functional medicine doctor in general, has been so empowering for me in helping me with my own health, in understanding what's ailing me, what's bothering me, what I need to be doing, what I need to be taking more of. And, you know, I went to see him, and all I'm doing is taking vitamins. I've eliminated certain foods that I'm allergic to, and I'm taking vitamins, and I'm feeling amazing. Mm-hmm. I've lost 20 pounds. I'm feeling incredible. So I felt like if something's bothering you, and this feels like it's something that it could be an issue, that you should definitely go and see the doctor, and he'll do a whole bunch of tests, and he'll get you answers. So then we went and saw Dr. Arsenault. And did you want to talk a little bit about that appointment?
So I went to Dr. Arsenault because a lot of the breast implant illness stuff is anecdotal at this point. A lot of research that's done against breast implant illness is only done on people that have had breast implants for 2 years. So I wanted to go because I really trust him. I went to him many, many years ago, and he's the one who helped me transform my health when I had all my thyroid and hormone problems, which were associated with this, but didn't know that at the time. But anyways, I went to him to get his opinion, and how quickly and I don't know, like confidently, he was just like, yeah, obviously that could be affecting your health. And I have seen women that have gotten them out and have these exact same concerns going on. And he basically explained exactly what is happening with my body. It's almost like, the way he said it is like, he's like, your body's really good at managing like 3 to 4 things. And he's like, what I think happened is when you had your daughter, is that your body was just managing that, and then all the other symptoms that were just kind of hanging on by a thread kind of fell apart. And now my body's having a really hard time because a lot of breast implant stuff causes autoimmune because your immune system is attacking itself because of this foreign object in your body. He's like, so your body has been attacking itself for so long that your glutathione is super high, and it needs to be fed, and it's being fed by your muscles, hence the muscle loss, hence the weight loss, and all that. And it's like, my body's finally had enough. And he said with breast implants, he's like, the autoimmune response can be so strong for some, and I've seen this in the group that I'm on in Facebook, is that they actually start having rheumatoid arthritis, they start having lupus symptoms, they start having fibromyalgia symptoms, and some of them actually even end up testing positive because their system is attacking itself so much, and then when they get the breast implants out, it goes away quite rapidly. Not for everyone, but like almost like within days for a lot of people, it starts to shed, at least it starts to lessen. So when he explained all these things to me and was like, and that's what's keep on, because my thyroid keeps going wonky and my hormones keep going wonky and I keep breaking out and stuff, and he's like, this is what's happening to you, and like your body's just basically said like, I've had enough. And it kind of was like triggered after having Rowan, and I kept on attributing my weight loss and like my tiredness and all that kind of stuff to just being a mom and then going through losing my own mom. And I've really had to do a lot of soul searching on like if that's what it is. And because I'm taking a risk taking my breast out, like not only am I taking like an emotional risk, but it's a physical risk going in for surgery. It's a pretty major surgery. It's bigger than getting them in. And so anyways, I had to do a lot of that soul searching, but I feel in my belly like this is what is causing it. And Dr. Arsenault, the way he explained it just made so much sense to me. And he's like, it sounds like you have a lot of metals in your body that can be coming out from like the plastics of like the case. It sounds like you might even have a mild mold toxicity, because even mold can grow on like the biofilm of the outside of the breast implant. And he's like, we won't know any of these things until we do blood tests. So I'm going through all those blood tests now. And then he'll get them back. And then after I get my breast implants out, then we'll start doing like specific therapy, like vitamin therapy, I don't know, like immunotherapy, or like whatever he calls not immunotherapy, that's for cancer, but the shots that he does there basically to help intravenous to help speed up some of your detoxification. He's confident that he can help me like lessen that load of toxicity in my body, and then we can redo the blood tests and then watch the different levels. So yes, some of these things could also come from chemicals in the house, or things that you use in your makeup. But like, we're pretty clean. We lead a pretty organic lifestyle. It's not to say you don't come across a million chemicals in a day, but I do think a lot of them are coming.
I think no more than the average person. And then if you consider that we eat extremely healthy, and for the most part we don't work in radioactive waste sites. We don't have
high contamination going
industrial jobs or things like that. So to have these types of symptoms and conditions, it's really hard to ignore.
Yeah, it's
really hard to ignore that. And it's like I said, we don't have somebody telling us that there's a direct link between breast implants and this illness. But just like not a lot of people believe that Bill Cosby could do what he did. There's 60 women who say that he did, and sure enough, you can't ignore 60 women. You cannot ignore the fact that happened. So 60 women can't be lying. So 40,000 women who are having this happen to them surely cannot be lying about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's certainly something that is quite interesting and quite fascinating that this is happening. But I mean, we just read an article the other day about the FDA finally acknowledging that breast implants can cause certain types of cancer.
A specific kind of cancer that only comes from breast implants.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Breast implant associated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Sorry, yeah. So I mean, you have a breast implant in the body that can cause breast cancer. I mean, what is that? Why is it causing that?
So. And like, even when we've been doing that research, I keep saying to Matt, like, I think my biggest fear is that I'm going to regret it and that I'm not going to see a change in my health, but I'm willing to take that risk. And then, so reading more and learning more, especially when the FDA is coming out and talking about these kind of things, I'm like, wow, I'm like, even if it's not going to correct what is possibly going on with me right now, I just want them out just knowing that. Like, I just, like, even just knowing that I'm increasing my risk of getting breast cancer, to me, is like, get them out. So
the other thing that I find interesting is that OHIP covers the breast explant.
yes.
Why would OHIP cover that? You have to wonder.
Yeah.
Why OHIP is covering breast explants. It's not like you're having them removed as an emergency procedure, in which case maybe I can understand something like that.
Yeah.
They're just covering it. So you have to wonder if, you know, medical professionals are getting behind this type of thing and they're starting to do the research. I think there is some truth to it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like, OHIP is covering the full thing. Like, I went to my doctor, I said, I think this is what's going on, and he wrote me a referral. And then now OHIP will be covering the full explant plus something called a capsulectomy. So they're not just taking the implants out, they're also going to be going in and taking away all the scar tissue, which apparently could even be attached to like my rib cage, parts of like my breastplate and stuff. And like, they have to scrape it off, because if there are toxins that are leaking out from it, the doctor needs to remove all of the like the scar tissue, because that could be hosting some of it as well. So they also cover the capsulectomy part of it. So yeah, it's fairly interesting. And then they send the breast implants off to pathology to be tested. So a lot of this is fairly new. It's kind of like a new trend, if you will, that is only starting to get a lot of new research now. And once again, I'm not saying this because I want to freak everyone out. I think if I was to just offer any advice, it would be to get your implants done more frequently. It wouldn't be to keep them in for so long. There's a lot of different studies going on right now that some say to do them every 7 years, some say do them every 10 years. Some women go 20, 30, 40. There's women in the group that have had them for 40 years and just started getting symptoms 5 years ago. Yeah. So it really varies from person to person. I think sometimes if you have a predisposition to have those things triggered, that can be the thing that triggers it. So, and if you go on a website and like you look up breast implant illness symptoms, it has like way too many. It can actually be overwhelming. It's like, hey, well, anybody can have that. But I can say, just from going in the private Facebook group of women that do have breast implants and believe they're making them sick, the most common ones are autoimmune. So it's the fibromyalgia, it's the lupus, the hypothyroidism, it's the hormone problems, infertility, things like that that are affecting the women's life. And and it's causing them a lot of pain and a lot of grief and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to ask each other some questions, but I just want to first see a couple people. There's a good question. Let me go back up to the top and then I'll come back down. I saw that one, Jillian. Laura Carr, big step. You have always wanted them, and I'm happy you have instinct and that you have a great implant, or that you have great implant illness and taking control of it for your health. That's number one. I'm grateful you discovered this. Thank you, Laura. The next one is, hi. Hey, Lori. To get OHIP to cover it, do you need a referral? Yes. So I went to my doctor and I just explained what was going on. And then he wrote me a referral and I took that referral to my surgeon. And then that's how OHIP covers it. Good for you, Ash. Very admirable. OHIP likely covers explants, as there are facts of cancers, etc., which will cost more in the long run. Love that Matt is always beside you. Love you guys. You guys are fab. Thank you. Thank you. And she, Sarah, who's commenting, is a paramedic. So it's interesting that you knew that about the cancer. And Jillian's question was, what was your surgeon's thought on breast implant illness? There's two answers to that, which is interesting. Yeah. When we went and saw the surgeon last week, his first reaction was like defense before we even started talking. We didn't even bring up breast implant illness.
Yeah, defense.
I think he was defensive.
He was asking you, I think, well, yeah, maybe it did seem a bit defensive. It definitely struck me that he was genuinely concerned that whether you were making the right decision, whether you were confident that you wanted to remove them, you know. And then when you started talking about breast implant illness, then he started saying, well, he was trying to dissuade you, you know.
He's like, if the FDA knew about it, we would know about it and we would let you know. But like, he wasn't for it, Jillian. So, but what I found interesting is that his concern as a surgeon and as a plastic surgeon at that was my happiness with how my breasts were going to look after. And he actually used the word deformed. So he's like, your breasts are going to look deformed after. And I was like, okay.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does deformed mean?
And so I asked him. I asked him. I said, "What does deformed mean?" And then he drew a picture.
He drew some pictures. He's not an artist.
He drew a picture of what a breast looks like after having a baby, and then he drew a picture of a perky boob. So he's like,
It basically looked like a scrotum.
Yeah. It wasn't well done. But anyway, so that was his take, Jillian, the first time. But then I went on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you were calling back. We came home. We talked about it. We decided, yes, we're going to go for it.
We had to talk about the lift. I needed to decide if I was going to get a lift at the same time.
So he suggested that we do the Explant because your breast was going to look deformed, which was the word that he used. He used it multiple times. Mm-hmm. Because your breast would look deformed, he recommended the lift. So we needed to think about whether we would do the lift or not. So we came home, we talked about it. You talked to some of the girls in the groups. They sent you pictures to take a look at, consider, some that had done it, some that didn't do it, girls that were comparable in shape and size to you.
Yeah. And
then we decided, you know what, let's just do the surgery, get them removed. If for whatever reason after the months after the surgery's happened and your body has started to recover from this, you've started to gain weight, things like that. If you need to get the lift done, then maybe at that time we would decide to do it.
Yeah.
So you called back, you said I wanted to book an appointment, and then they called you and they asked you to come in to meet, but they didn't say why exactly. They said they wanted you to come in to sign some papers.
And talk with Dr. Kreis-Steeningham.
Yeah, and talk with him.
So his second time, Jillian, which was just, I guess, Tuesday, I went in there and I was actually really proud of him for he went home on the weekend. He did research and he came back and he's like, I did some research. He's like, there's not a lot of research on this. And he's like, but what I did find is that there was a study that there was like 100 women or something that were participants in this research study of breast implant illness. 60 of them only went through with it. And out of that 60 people, 75% of them that explanted found a relief in their symptoms. So that's pretty high for me. That's pretty awesome. And he's the one who shared that with me. He brought like a bunch of things that he had printed and he highlighted stuff out and he shared with me. He also shared with me some women's feelings on like the breast explant without lift. 13% of them were really depressed about getting a breast explant and not getting a lift. I could be high, but I'm still willing to take the risk. I honestly we just moved. I don't really feel like paying for it right now. I just want to focus on feeling better. And then if I want to get my boobs lifted in a year, then I'll get them lifted if they're that deformed. But I'm just going to look like a mom that breastfed. Like, I'm just going to look like a normal chick. So anyways, it just pisses me off that he said that because he was trying to fuck with my head. But that was his opinion. And so
as a plastic surgeon, I have a feeling that the word deformity is a word in their vocabulary. That's medically, that is how you define something like that. And is that correct? And is that the right term to use with a woman who's talking about doing this? No.
With any woman in general, you don't use that word.
No, but I think that's why he was using it, because he is by the book.
He wants me to be happy. Like, I know at the end he wants me to be happy, and that's how he thinks I'm going to be happy. And I basically said to him, I just said, look, I'm not here to convince you that breast implant illness is real. I'm here because you're a really good surgeon. So just basically do your job, get as much as the capsule out as you can, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's what the surgeon thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would know this, but women who have had a mastectomy for breast cancer, they now offer basically a 2-in-1 surgery where they did reconstructive surgery at the same time. Do you use implants like you have at the same time? Do they use? Yes. Actually, there's women in the group that I'm in on the Facebook that had breast cancer, got them out, got breast implants in, and then ended up with breast implant associated breast cancer after that. So they got their breast taken off, got breast implants put in, and then got breast implant associated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Mm-hmm. So yeah, anyways, that's starting to come out too. So it's, once again, you can't deny a woman to want to feel like a woman. And so if they're getting their breasts taken off because they have cancer, I respect that if they want to get them in. They just have to know of the consequences that could happen and might not. They may be perfectly fine. But this is coming out, and there are women in my group that have had that happen. What up, bud? Hey, Greg. How you doing, buddy? I've seen some pretty deformed boobs after pregnancy. That's why they have Victoria's Secret. Good point.
That's true.
Wow, crazy. So interesting. Yeah. So let's next go into some questions, and then we can answer you guys' questions if you have any more. So you kind of already talked about my one question was, what was your initial reaction when I brought up breast implant illness? You were explaining to me what it was, and then you showed me the website, and I read about it, right? And you're a research guy, though, so how did you feel researching something that didn't have a lot of, they have tons of articles on that one website, but there's not a ton of research on the internet about it, or scientific.
But there's not a ton of stuff out there that also contradicts it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when you have a controversial illness or controversial topic, there's a lot of information on both sides of the equation. And so you get, when you do a Google search, you find people who are trying to debunk it as well as try to prove it,
just
right?
Like anything.
And there is some of that for this, for sure.
Yeah.
But the majority of the information I found was about women and doctors who were talking about it. And once I started going through all of the symptoms, this light bulb started going off in my head. I'm like, this explains a lot of what's going on in Ashley's history. Even before you and I got married and things like that we just didn't.
My hormone problems.
We just thought that they were. This was just you, and this was just the way your life was, and we didn't associate it with anything that you had done in your past that was contributing to it. So that like I said, it just blew my mind. Mm-hmm. Right? And then when you said you want,
no, go ahead.
I'm looking at your questions. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. What was your next question?
Okay. You kind of answered the second one, which, how did you feel after doing research? Your take on the research?
Well, I felt empowered. I felt like we had an answer to what was going on with you, or a potential answer to what these issues were. Because I can't tell you how frustrating it is for me to watch you be so frustrated by not knowing what's going on and not being able to solve what your health problems are. Like, for someone who is so healthy and so fit and you read up on everything, you try to understand all of these symptoms, and you're helping women with their lives and their wellness, and you're struggling with this. And I can't tell you how frustrating that is to sit and watch that as a husband, watch that happen and not have an answer for it. And so when you finally brought this to me, and after I did this research, it was almost a bit of a relief, to be honest, to finally know what this could be, what's causing your issues. And then when we went to see Dr. Arsenault, it was just like, I felt a huge weight. I don't know if you did. I'm not going to say a huge weight off my chest, because that's kind of a funny pun at this moment in time. Yeah. But it felt like a huge weight off our shoulders.
Yeah.
That this we had finally gotten some answers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, because I was nervous to tell you. Yeah. Okay, I have 2 more questions for you.
Oh, sorry.
What is your biggest concern about me explanting?
Well, we talked a little bit about the risk that this might not solve some of your health issues, but I feel fairly confident that it's going to. However, I would say that's probably my biggest concern, is that it doesn't solve any of the issues that you're facing, and then it's going to be a matter of trying to determine what it is, diagnose what that issue is, and we'll find it out. We'll find out what it is. But I mean, given just how similar your symptoms are to all the other women, all the research, all the information, the doctor telling you this, Dr. Arsenault, it's too much to ignore, like I say. So I feel very confidently that it will happen. That's probably my biggest concern. I'm not concerned about how they're going to look. I'm not concerned about any of that. I'm concerned about your health.
You probably are concerned a little bit.
Not really. I'm kind of curious how they're going to look. But, I mean...
Well, I have to tell you guys something really funny. I don't think you'll care, I'm sharing this, but I've been having a lot of conversations with Matt about me not having my boobs anymore, because I know you say you don't care, but I think guys would be lying if they're like, I don't care at all. Like, not even like just a little bit. And so I said to, and you've been hard and fast about like, I don't care. I just want you to be better.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, and he said, let's be serious, Ashley. He's like, it's not like your boobs are that big right now anyways, because I've lost so much weight, and like after breastfeeding, I really don't, my boobs aren't that big anymore.
They're not.
They're actually like basically the same size they were before I even got my implants to begin.
Yeah. If they're going to look like what Dr. Kreidstein drew on that piece of paper the other day, yeah, I might be a little bit concerned. We should have taken a picture of it. But it did look like a droopy testicle. Anyway, I don't think that your boobs are going to look like that. And even if they did, whatever, we would figure it out.
Yeah.
However, am I a little bit concerned about what they might look like? Well, if they look anything like what he drew, he's a terrible plastic surgeon.
He almost even had like little hairs on them, like it was.
Yeah, he was almost drawing a testicle.
I think he was trying to draw like stretch marks.
I was trying not to laugh because I felt bad that he was trying to draw this to explain to us.
Yeah.
I was like, can't you just pull out some pictures? I mean, I'm sure he's got lots of pictures of boobies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway,
yeah.
What was your next question?
Actually, you answered all of them throughout our talk. Yeah.
Okay, I have some questions that I've written down. Well, you kind of spoke about it, but do you think that you'll regret it?
I don't think that I'm going to regret it, but I am fearful of the emotional roller coaster it's going to be after I explant. Like, I know that I'm going to have, it's going to be an emotional adjustment. Like, I love when I look in the mirror right now and I see my tits. Like, I love my boobs. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm probably going to have like little bits and pieces of like, oh, why did I do that? And the girls in the group are even like mentally preparing me for that.
Yeah.
That have had them. They're like some of them are said like I cried for days. And then they say it goes through like a fluffing period, and they start to like fluff up, and like they just start to like kind of like, because when you get surgery, like they look weird, and then they start to fluff up, and they share pictures and stuff like that, and that gives me the confidence. If I didn't have that confidence and have this conversation happening with all these women, then I would probably know for sure I would have moments of like major regret.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about these women who are going ahead and doing this before you. You know what I mean? The fact that you can talk to them, not touch, sorry, I almost said touch. That you can talk to them, reach out to them, and understand what they're going through, and and that they're sharing. I mean, it's mind blowing.
I know
what they're sharing with you and showing you what they're going through, and they're posting pictures at this day and this day and this day.
Yeah.
And it does make you feel a lot better.
Oh yeah.
You know, the recovery and that.
I'm confident. So I don't know. I guess it's a really long answer, but to answer your question, I don't think I'm going to regret it health wise. Like even knowing what I know now, I'm not willing to have them in my body and take that risk of any of those things.
Well, yeah.
But if it doesn't do any of that, even if it doesn't correct my health, I know I'm not going to regret taking them out, but I know I'm going to have an emotional journey getting over it.
Sure.
Like, I'm not having them.
And even if you weren't to take them out, you're going to have to get them put back in, and you're going to have to get them back in every 5 to 7 years or 7 to 10 years from here until whenever.
Till I'm 87.
Till you're 87, you got shelf tits at 87 years of age.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, yeah. So no, you've made the right decision in my opinion. Did you?
I'm gonna answer Rita's question quickly. It says, is it the same surgeon who put them in doing the explant? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Rita. So yeah, I was actually thinking about going to another surgeon because he's not as pro breast implant illness, and then I decided I don't need him to agree with me. I just want to be going to him because he's a really good surgeon.
Do a good job.
He did an incredible job on my boobs. Like, he did a really good job. I healed very well. They've stayed really well the whole time. It's not his fault that my body reacted like this. I don't need his
no. And he doesn't need to say, yes, I agree with you,
no.
or yes, you've converted me, I'm now a breast implant illness advocate. He needs to do a really good job.
Yeah.
And not knock him. He can go and do more breast implants. You're not trying to turn him off of it, or anybody off of it for that matter.
I just want to educate people.
Yeah,
I just want people to know, because I wish I had known. Like, if it had gone as far as not allowing me to have a child, or us to have a child, I'm sorry, like I would want to know that. Like I would want to know, like years ago, like my hormones have been wonky for like years, and then they have like, you know, a couple years of like being very plateaued and balanced, and then they go wonky again, and then same thing with my skin. And it's just like your skin is your biggest organ. It's been talking to me for a long time. I've been having like on and off rashes for like a long time, and then I seem like I'm correcting them, and then all of a sudden it comes back. It's like my body gets inflamed again, and like I can't possibly like eat any healthier. Like I'm not willing to eat any healthier than I already am.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's it. I think that I don't know how else to explain it than like sometimes there's some days I just feel sick. And it didn't start like this until after having Rowan. And then that's why I always kept on attributing it to being a new mom. And then when Rowan was 5 months old is when I found out that my mom had cancer. So then I kept on attributing it to that. And it was just always an excuse, right? But like I'm pretty happy right now. Like like I feel, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that, but like I don't think that's the reason.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, sure, but I'm sure it has an influence, but I don't think that's the sole reason of what's going on internally.
Yeah.
Last question.
Are you worried that I'm not going to be attracted to you afterwards?
Yes. Yes, that has been a concern of mine. Not that you won't be attracted to me, but like you won't want to touch my boobs.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, and that
How
like.
soon after can I touch them?
Well, they're gonna have drains in them for a little bit, so you can't touch them for like several days because I don't want the drains to get infected. But then after that, yeah, like I guess I do have a fear of like you not wanting to touch them after, and then I also have this fear that I'm not going to be as confident naked, so like I'll want to wear my bra again, and yeah, so like I do have a little bit of a fear how it's going to affect our sex life.
I think it's going to be an adjustment no matter what. I mean, you know, even just getting comfortable with touching them after having the surgery and when I can touch them or when, you know, when I can touch them. What the ground rules are for touching them, how hard, how soft.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's going to be an adjustment, but I mean, it's not going to change. Your breasts are only one part of you. There's a lot more of you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just your boobs. When I first met you, you didn't have those boobs.
No, I know. Yeah.
It certainly wasn't those.
Yeah, I know it wasn't those that were the kicker. Yeah, and like the one thing I haven't been very vocal about on social media is about how insecure I've been with how tiny I am lately and like how small I am. Well, that insecurity also goes into our relationship right now anyways, right? So like I don't like how much muscle I've lost, and I don't like how small I've become. I mean, there's certain parts that I'm proud of because I know I eat healthy, but I'm not willing to eat unhealthy to just gain bad fat. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to be able to gain weight like I was before.
Well, and you were able to gain weight
fairly easily
in a normal way by eating healthy and working out, and you've been on a decline.
Yes.
So clearly something is wrong.
It's been like a steady decline of weight loss, and so even those insecurities are there now. So like maybe if my boobs are gone, but like I get my ass back a bit, then and like my curves come back, then I'll feel more confident with that. Because there's even times now where I'm like, ugh. Like, don't look at my ass when I walk away naked because it looks so flat. Right? So, like, yeah, and we always have insecurities, but in general, I'm a confident person, but I know there's little things that might be an adjustment.
100%.
Yeah, so I just saw somebody else said something.
There was a couple little post questions there. Ooh, excuse me.
Thank you for being so open and sharing. I wondered if you could share a little more about your hormonal challenges you experienced that might be related to your implants.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me, after I got my implants, once again, I don't know for sure if this is what's causing my hormonal issues, but because part of it was also my lifestyle at the time, like over exercising and dieting a lot. But also, after I got my implants, it could have had an influence on me. I lost my period for a couple years. I almost went through menopause. I had to go on hormone therapy to get my period again. So I was on testosterone and I was on progesterone to start getting that again for several months, maybe a year. I was actually lucky enough to come off of those. And then since having Rowan, my hormones have been a bit messed again. And so my thyroid has had to be adjusted a couple times, and then my my progesterone's really off. So, and my periods are like really, like they basically last a day and a half. So like I haven't lost my period again, but like my periods are very, very, very light, and like unusually light. So like I could like honestly probably not even really wear a tampon or like a pad most times.
Yeah, no, not really, no.
Well, like the first day I could, but then like after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you would know, girl. Like, it's more of a women's.
Yeah, so those are my hormone problems, and I think as a result, it's also really affecting like my weight and everything. But yeah, so
Totally.
I don't know about like my fertility at this time because we're not trying to have another child, but I do know it's had an effect on my hormones that seem to be regulated before, and then seem to kind of like have been going like this since having my daughter. So once again, it could be related to just having a child, or there could be an influence of like plastics and toxins and stuff in my body that are having a negative effect on that. A lot of women in the group that I'm in for breast implant illness do have hormone problems, whether that be hypothyroidism or fertility issues. So it is quite common, and I mean it's quite common in general, but all of them got it after their implants, so whatever. Won't know until it's out. So yeah, that's the hormone challenges I have. I'm basically almost losing my period again, and my progesterone is off. My thyroid keeps going off. They keep having to adjust my thyroid. Now they're checking for different things with my thyroid. They've already checked for Hashimoto's. Now they're checking for that again. There's just been a lot of weird stuff going on. So yeah, that's what's been going on hormonally. Your husband is a real trooper. He's a keeper. Yes, he is, Rosa. You have that right. And I think I've answered all the questions so far. So yeah, that's basically the story and what's going on. So on the 28th, I go in at 7:45 in the morning, and I will have them out. I will have drains put in to help with like getting rid of the fluid. So I will be like that for a couple days. I can't hold Rowan for 10 days. It's a pretty serious surgery as far as the pain goes, but apparently I can work out within a couple weeks. So hopefully my back's better by then too.
Burpees after 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Won't be doing that. Won't be doing any like chest presses, but what did Rita say? Are women with a certain type of implants more likely to experience these symptoms? Great question, Rita. No. So the major answer is no. So from the research I've done, a lot of the stuff back in the day, apparently breast implant illness was kind of like a thing of the 90s as well, the early 90s. And it was related to silicone implants. And as a result, the FDA actually took them off the market for a while, revamped them, ended up putting them back on the market, and somehow made them safer or whatever. But specifically silicone was really bad for it. So now they're doing cohesive gel, saline, and I think one other type of breast implant. But the catch is that all of them are done still in an encasing that has the same thing. So whether they leak in your body or not, which mine might be leaking, I won't know until they take them out. Like even if it's like a really, really small leak, it's very, very minor. But anyways, it's the encasing that still actually has silicone in it. So like the shell of the implant has silicone in it amongst like other metals and plastics and stuff like that. And that's where the concern comes in.
Titanium.
Yeah.
What were there were a couple of heavy metals in particular, but it was titanium and a few other ones that are...
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde leaking into your body. These are some of the heavy metals that can leak out of that. Now you would wonder why that's... How are titanium and formaldehyde in the plastic? Well, that's a great question. Why does plastic have that in them? Why did they stop making water bottles with BPA, bisphenol A, and things like that, right? These were chemicals that were put into the plastic because they're endocrine disruptors. So you figure you've got a plastic in your body and you're having hormonal issues. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very peculiar.
Drinking from a plastic bottle can cause hormonal issues if you have it too much, apparently, right?
So, I mean, you have plastic in your body. You're not ingesting microplastics in bottles, and that's causing you problems. You don't drink plastic water out of plastic bottles every day. You're carrying around plastic in your body
all the time.
What I found really interesting was on the FDA website, they talked about the specific types of breast implants that are causing that breast implant associated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They're smooth.
No, the textured ones.
Textured breast implants
are causing them, or have the highest. They have the highest
incidence of that type of cancer. Textured implants.
Yeah. So textured implants, I don't know for 100% for sure, but it doesn't matter what kind of implant you have. You can have smooth or textured, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, but there's like a specific, like mine are smooth saline. I believe people can have textured saline too. I don't know that for a fact, but I know like textured can be like cohesive gel and stuff. Mm-hmm. So those ones have a higher incidence of the breast implant illness associated cancer. Or breast implant associated cancer.
You should share the website that has a lot of that information on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one that I was reading.
Yeah,
I found very helpful.
The healing,
especially even for husbands or partners or whatever.
Yeah,
boyfriends, you name it, girlfriends. Yeah. Those people can read about it and find out more information. You should definitely share that website.
Yeah. Are one with a certain type of implant? Oh, okay, we already talked about that. Are you going to do a video of the procedure? Will your doctor allow you to? It's really funny you asked that, Rosa.
Interesting.
Yeah, we actually will be. We actually have a news program. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce which one, but we actually have a news program that's going to be chronicling this journey. So it will actually be on national news. And if they can get in the room for the procedure, they will. So they're looking into that right now. So yeah. Anything else? Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No.
But let me know if you guys have any other questions. If anyone that doesn't want to talk about it publicly, that's fine. Message me personally, and I can link you to the group. If you are curious, you have any questions, you have concerns. Once again, I'm not trying to change everyone's mind. I'm not trying to make you guys feel guilty. This is what I do for a living. I advocate health, and it just felt incongruent not sharing this. So that's what I'm here for. So I'm happy to connect you with the private Facebook group of the other women. So just privately message me if you guys don't want to come out on social media and say it, and I will help you out. Thank you, Rosa. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining me. Mm-hmm. Titty Talks. Thanks for Titty Talks.
Join us next Tuesday for Titty Talks.
Titty Talks with smaller titties. All right, take care, guys. Oh wait, one more quick thing. Thank you for sharing, and good luck with the procedure and speedy recovery. I hope you see a positive change in your health as a result of the Explant. Thank you very much, Bree. I appreciate that. Okay, bye.
Bye.